A very different Week 17 for the New York football teams. One team played playoff spoiler while the other was routed on the road. So let's talk about what went on with New York football. We're going to do it with a host for WFAN. Her name is Danielle McCartan. She's been joining me all season, and she joins me now. Danielle, what's going on?
How's my new background? You liking it?
Yeah, look, not do I like it. I love it. Danielle has leveled up the background. She's been telling me about this. Now we finally get to see it. It looks good, and I think it's here to stay. Right, Danielle? Here to stay?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. It took a lot of work to put it up, so it's staying.
I like it. I like the new home setup. It looks really good. All right, we got to talk about the Giants first. The Giants, they finally won a game. They won their first game at home all season, 45-33 over the Colts, and they eliminated Indianapolis from playoff contention. Drew Lock threw 4 touchdown passes in this one. What worked for the Big Blue offense on Sunday? And I got to ask this question. Is Drew Lock the answer at QB?
Do you really have to answer that question? I mean, look, Dexter, Drew Lock is not the answer. I mean, there isn't a single person wearing Giants blue that believes that. He just literally had the single best game of his entire career based on quarterback rating. I looked it up. So good for him, but as a starter with a long-term future, especially with the Giants, no. But for whatever reason, I just think this Giants team today just came into this game the most motivated I've seen them all season long, really. I mean, Drew Lock said after the game, he said it was time to just go out and do it. And, the larger picture here, I have to say, this is a good look for the head coach. This team that is so far out of contention that they're vying for the first overall pick, they put up the most points in the head coach's tenure here. It was the most points for the Giants in the Daboll era. So I talked to 3 different offensive linemen at a J-Fund event last week. They said they're still working their butts off every single day, despite how the season goes, and just a satisfying, rewarding win from a player perspective, from a Giants perspective. And it shows me that they're playing tough. They're playing together, and as bad as it's been, and it seems as though this locker room is still intact, which is another good look for this head coach. So I think, in my opinion, today's performance by the New York Giants solidified Brian Daboll's standing as head coach for the Giants beyond this season.
I think that's a great point that you bring up, because this is a good look for him in getting this win, because I thought it mattered how they finished. We know it has not been a good season for the Giants, but having this finish and having this kind of win where the team looked really inspired, I think it definitely is a good look for Daboll, and we'll see if he and Joe Schoen are back. And look, Danielle, we know that the players and the coaches, they do not care about tanking or draft picks. Players and coaches are not talking about that. However, with the loss, the Giants went from controlling their destiny in terms of landing the first pick in the 2025 draft to moving down to 3rd, and they could fall as far as 4th by the end of Sunday's afternoon slate of games. So does this Giants franchise need one of the top 2 picks in this upcoming draft?
Meaning a player for one of those top 2 picks, a single player? No. I am telling everyone and anyone that will listen to me, this Giants team is not one quarterback away. This team is not one player away. There is not a single quarterback on this planet, Dexter, that would have consistent success with this Giants team, and it's silly to actually believe that narrative. The Giants need to trade back, get a boatload of picks, and start to address every other need. And you could start with the offensive line and then go ahead and pin the tail on whatever position on defense you want to upgrade. And not to mention, while we're talking about this, Cam Ward quit on his team, took himself out of the bowl game, and his team lost it. Shedeur Sanders, he's already a drama problem. Before his team got completely blown out in the Alamo Bowl, he posted those Giants cleats and what he said about them. So for me, it is a hard pass on an early round quarterback, if not all of them. The Giants have many other holes, and they are better off filling other needs while keeping a stopgap quarterback at number 1 on the depth chart for next season.
Now, Danielle, you know that is not always going to be the popular talk among fans. People want to get the quarterback in there. They want to fix that position. Not saying that that is not a position of need that the Giants need to fix. However, I can see going for value and fixing other holes, which the Giants do have a lot of them, as you mentioned, and we'll definitely talk about that more throughout the offseason. Now, over to the Jets, who had a pretty embarrassing effort in Western New York as Gangrene fell to Buffalo 40-14. Aaron Rodgers in this one threw for 112 yards, also threw 2 picks. I know that you've been an advocate of bringing Rodgers back, Danielle, but does his play today give you any concerns as to whether or not he should return to the Jets next season?
Not at all. Dexter, I know I'm also in the minority with this opinion, too. I want to see Aaron Rodgers back as the Jets quarterback next season. I mean, the Jets made a deal with the devil, so to speak, so they might as well see it through and not wave the white flag a season too early. Don't forget, Aaron Rodgers is coming back from a significant injury at an old age, let's be honest. And there is no doubt in my mind that he was playing significantly more injured than anyone knew about this entire season, early on especially. So don't forget, too, going into today's game, Rodgers, over his previous 8 games, 14 touchdowns to 1 interception, okay? And don't forget, I'm going to keep reminding everybody, this Jets defense coughed up six fourth quarter leads this season. So maybe you switch those to win because they were winning. Their record would be what, 10-6? This Jets team would be in the playoff if their defense showed up in those games, especially late. If Mike Williams held on to the ball down the right sideline in the closing seconds. So for me, Dexter, there are just too many ifs, and I need to see it through. Rodgers 2025 with one more time while Breece Hall and Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson are all playing on the final year of their rookie contracts. Run it back one more year.
All right, run it back with Aaron Rodgers. And, sometimes when you're dealing with the Achilles injury and coming back, it's generally said that the second year of coming back is usually better for the athlete than that first year. Now, when you look at the effort from the Jets on the field against the Bills and then all season, some might argue, and I know you've heard this, Danielle, that the talent that they have, they should be better than their 4-12 record. Did we, and by we, I mean the media, I mean the fans, I mean all of us, did we overrate the talent on this squad, or are the Jets, who they are, who they've shown to be?
I can't believe, I don't want to believe that the Jets are, a 4-12 team. For me, I think the talent is, for the most part, there for this Jets team. And they can use some help, of course, in this upcoming draft on the offensive line. And I would say at the secondary level of this defense, like the intermediary level, like linebacker and safety. But when I look at this team, I look at this Jets team and I shake my head and say the coaching is the problem. It always has been. This team looks unprepared. Jeff Ulbrich is in over his head. Robert Saleh, what was he actually there for other than being a cheerleader? This team is the second most penalized team in the entire league, and that tells you a lot about how they practice. So what's so frustrating is, again, I believe the talent is there, and there is no one there in that building to extricate it efficiently enough to translate it into wins. So with a major upgrade to the coaching staff, this team, and I know this is hard to believe and get behind, but I think this team could be right in the mix next season with a formidable coaching staff. Bring in an offensive-minded guy, bring in a coach with experience, and because this is all just win now, because I'm keeping everything intact. And maybe this, Dexter, is why Woody seems to get it wrong each and every time, because coaches are not rated in the Madden video game.
He needs some Madden ratings for that. Let me ask you real quick before we get out of here. Who you talked about wanting an offensive-minded coach. Is there a name? Is there somebody at the top of your wish list, Danielle, that you think the Jets, should absolutely bring in here to coach this team? Because you've talked about this all season. You said coaching you thought has been a major issue. So who's the name? Who should the Jets go out and get? Who's that guy or gal, if they chose to go that way, that they must bring in to coach the team?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, objectively right now, we still don't know who would be in and who would be out at this point in time. I think the Jets would have been foolish not to bring Belichick in to give him control of what's going on over there. I like Vrabel, I do, but and I know I said I want experience, but I have to bring into my building to interview the offensive coordinator of the Vikings to see what he did with Sam Darnold, and I need to interview the offensive coordinator of the Lions. If they start bringing in defensive guys, recycled candidates, I really don't want to see it. So for me, at this point in time, objectively speaking, it's got to be an offensive guy. It's got to be the guy that has developed quarterbacks in a way. I just think this team is just so win now. I don't have any names right now because the season's not over yet, and some guy could pop up out of nowhere. But for me, I take a really good hard look at the offensive coordinator for both the Vikings and the Lions.
No, I like that. Some fresh blood, some fresh names in there. And then you also mentioned Mike Vrabel, who has had a history with improving offenses and quarterbacks in development there. Well, with the Jets and Giants, 4 more quarters left in the football season. It's been a rough one for both teams, but Danielle McCartan has been here with me on most Sundays to break it all down. Check Danielle out on WFAN. Also, give her a like and some props on that beautiful new background that she has in her home studio. Danielle, I appreciate it, and we will talk soon. Happy New Year.
All right. Happy New Year, Dexter. Appreciate it.